Please subscribe and you can download this code from description below. Certainly. A Unicode decode error in Python typically occurs when trying to read data from a file or a stream and the interpreter encounters characters that it cannot decode into Unicode. This issue often arises when working with standard input, sys.stdin, and dealing with non-UTF-8 encoded input. Here's a tutorial on how to resolve a Unicode decode error from sys.stdin in Python. The sys.stdin stream is usually assumed to be encoded in UTF-8, and if your input doesn't conform to this encoding, you might encounter a Unicode decode error. This is especially common when working with data that comes from external sources or non-UTF-8 environments. To handle this issue, you need to explicitly handle the decoding of input from sys.stdin using the correct encoding. In this example, sys.stdin.buffer.read reads the raw bytes from the standard input stream, and decode, UTF-8, attempts to decode these bytes as UTF-8. If the input is not UTF-8 encoded, a Unicode decode error may occur. If you suspect that your input is not UTF-8 encoded, you should adjust the decoding accordingly. For example, if your input is encoded in a different encoding like Latin 1, you would modify the decode line accordingly. Handling Unicode decode error from sys.stdin involves explicitly decoding the input using the appropriate encoding. Understanding the encoding of your input data is crucial to resolving this issue. Remember that the actual encoding of your input may vary, and you should choose the appropriate decoding strategy based on your specific use case. Always consider the source of your input data to ensure correct handling of character encodings. ChatGPT. Certainly. The Unicode decode error in Python often occurs when trying to decode bytes to a Unicode string, and the decoding process encounters invalid or undefined Unicode characters. This error is commonly encountered when working with text input from external sources, such as reading from the standard input, sys.stdin. Let's go through a tutorial on how to handle this issue. The Unicode decode error typically occurs when trying to read binary data from sys.stdin and decode it into a Unicode string. This is common when reading input from the command line or other external sources. To handle binary data from sys.stdin, it's advisable to use sys.stdin.buffer to read the raw binary input. Once you have the binary data, you can then decode it into a Unicode string using an appropriate encoding. Save the code in a file, for example, decode_example.py. You can then run the script and provide input through the command line. Make sure to replace hello, world, with your actual input. Adjust the encoding in the decode method based on the encoding of your input data. If you're working with data that may have a different encoding, you should adjust the decoding step accordingly. Common encodings include UTF-8, Latin 1, UTF-16, etc. Choose the one that matches your data. This tutorial provides a basic understanding of how to handle Unicode decode error when reading from sys.stdin in Python. Always consider the encoding of your input data and handle exceptions appropriately. ChatGPT.